lot, and I've always liked it. I like the words, I can let go, because God knows. And the truth is not somebody out there knows. There's a piece of us, maybe it's unconscious, that knows the truth, that knows everything, and it's deep within us. And we don't have to know it with our head. We just know. We know that there's something bigger that guides us, that loves us, that carries us and lifts us through life. Every single one of us. Ramakrishna said, the winds of grace are blowing, and it's up to us to raise our sails. And I love that. See, that's what I want to talk about today, is about receiving. Grace is with us, right? Grace is with us. Can you hear pretty well? Grace is with us, always. And we need to open up to receive it. It's in everything. It's the impulse of the universe works through us, and that's what grace is. Grace is the impulse of life. And I love it. I love it that Judy showed that. So funny. Oh, don't you keep it? Isn't the cutest thing you ever saw? That's grace. Usually, that's how I want to spend my Mother's Day. You know? It's so cute. But it's interesting that Judy showed the birth, because that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Is that this is what grace is. It's the energy of the universe working through us. And I got to thinking about it. And, when each of us were conceived, now think about this. You're just this little DNA, right? A little dot of intelligence and information. That's what you are, And then it grew into 100 trillion cells. That became you. Now, imagine you, nobody else but just yourself. You're this little dot with this information and this little intelligence. And all of a sudden you're these cells and you turn into who you are. And then the blueprint for your life tells you when your teeth come in and when your hair comes in, if it does, when you lose it, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Is that if that isn't grace, I don't know what is. That's grace, is that inside of us is all that incredible information, all that incredible divine love. Every attribute of God, every attribute, that would be divine love, divine wisdom, divine grace. What are the attributes? Divine joy of God. They're all within you. See, I don't need to know consciously, because God knows. Because that's what grace is, and it's inside each and every one of us. We are never alone. We always know the answers to everything. Now, sometimes, right here, we don't. I don't know what to do about this. Inside, with your unique intuition, you know everything. With love, creativity, joy, compassion, every quality of God is in your blueprint. That's grace. Something knew you. I wrote this. I think this is pretty smart. Something knew you, and something grew you, and something won't abandon you. Ever. Think about that. Something knew you, grew you, and you'll never be alone. And that's what grace is. It runs through each and every cell in your body. That's how powerful that you are. Mark Nepo calls it the spot of grace. I love that. The spot of grace. That's who we are, the spot of grace. And you know what I think it is? I think it's the Tao. If any of you know what the Tao Te Ching is, it's a book, and it talks about the Chinese way of the path, the way it is. The Tao has been called the effortless flow of existence. See, we complicate life, but life isn't complicated. Here's what it says. Here before heaven and earth is the Tao. It's silent. It's elusive. It stands alone, and it never wavers. It travels everywhere unharmed. It could be the mother of all of us. I love that. The Tao never does a thing, yet there is nothing that it doesn't do. There is an eternal harmony associated with the Tao that is always present, available to all people at every single moment, without boundaries. And this is the most important attribute. The more that we move in harmony with it, the more peaceful and the more productive that our journeys become. See, we live in a grace-filled life. We live in a grace-filled life. And how do we find it? By lifting our sails. By receiving, by just letting go of all of the junk right here and opening to that divine grace within us. When we get in our own way, we get in our own way. See, we have a natural communication with that, with the Tao. We have a natural communication with grace. It's our intuition, it's our instincts. And when we are quiet, when we are open to receive, it comes. It works through us, it comes through us. But we interfere, we control. We have a self-image that we think about, that's how we were raised. We worry that all things. Think about when you were young, how we were actually raised, and who you were, who told you who you were. That's not who you are. That's not who you are at all. Your thoughts, I read this, I love this. We do 60,000 thoughts a day. Think about this, about 60,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them were the same thoughts as yesterday. Is that bizarre? And then I was thinking about this, when I don't sleep, this is what I think about, So in a lifetime, we think the same thoughts, right? Over and over and over, with new thoughts coming. But most of the time, it's the same thoughts that you're thinking all the time, over and over and over. So it's like we brainwash ourselves, right, with the same thing. So we're not open to really listening to who we really are, listening to this, letting grace operate through our lives, because we're still in our head thinking stuff we thought before. And so that's what this talk is about. It's about letting go. Let this flow, this beautiful energy of life that, my God, when you saw that video, that's you. That's you. How powerful is that? If we get open to that and let that guide our life. It's the same energy that runs the universe can lead us. I love what Tagore said. He said, the same stream of life that runs through my veins day and night runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measure. I love that. We are part of the universe. We aren't just placed here and then there's the universe. We are the universe. We're just self-reflective. We're the universe, and it runs through everything that we do. We have an innate intelligence. But we think the same thoughts over and over and over. So what interferes? What is it that interferes with that flow or that grace, What is it? And what it is who we think we are. Who we think we are is the self-image that we've built, And how do we deal with that? What do we do? Because we are humans in this world, too. But the truth is, until we are ready to breathe, step back, and be aware, and know that there's more, nothing will change. That's why coming to talks like this, coming to meditation, opening our heart, changes us. It puts us in a whole different mode of being in the world. When we start to witness who we are, it changes everything. When we start to know, our self-image changes. Who we think we are changes. Because we aren't just the little human that's struggling to get by. We are so much more than that, so much more than that. So with witnessing and awareness is how we do it. It's spiritual practice, you guys. That's what it is. It's praying. It's meditating. It's changing the way, the grooves in our head for how we're thinking, Somebody said, and I like the idea that says that, when we're trying to remember and trying to do our spiritual practice, it's like planting a stake, so that the vines, the grapes will grow. And what happens is that the vines start to grow and the leaves start to appear and the grapes come and then the wine is made. But we aren't the ones who make the grapes. See? That's the innate intelligence working through you. We do the work. We plant the stakes in our life. And they bend over a little bit. We have to put the stakes back up. That's what happens with our life. We got to keep doing it. We got to keep doing it. We keep falling down and we keep getting up till finally they stay up and they produce the grapes that produce the wine. We have to prepare our field with spiritual practice. And with spiritual practice, that's just being aware. Stepping back, seeing your life from a different perspective. It's about witnessing, becoming a witness to your own life. And then we start to see the grace flow through us, And sometimes, we don't see the grace right away. I don't know if you've noticed in your life when stuff goes on in your life and all this hard things happen, you step back, you don't see, how could this possibly be grace? But later on, you step back in your life and you witness and you say, wow, I can see now what happened and why this took place in my life. And I got to thinking about that in my life, and I remembered my mom. And today was Mother's Day, so I was thinking about her a lot. And I always thought that I would be the one that would take care of Mom at the end of her life. Because I was the closest with her. There was 5 of us. And I was really close with Mom. And the other ones, not so much. Maybe they were, but I think we had a special connection. She lived with me, quite a bit of the time. And I'm always the one that had the means to do it. And at the time when she really needed me to take care of her, I couldn't do it. It was the only period of my life. It's interesting that this has happened because I look back now, it was grace. But then I didn't know. It was a period of my life, and I talked about it a few weeks ago, that was difficult. It was so difficult. I was losing Fred, my husband. I lost my before common ground, I lost my job. I didn't have the money. I didn't have a place for her. I had nothing, right? So I couldn't take care of her. And that's the time she got sick, and she needed somebody to take care of her. And it was the only time in my life where I couldn't have done that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Every other period, I had a home, I had a husband, I had money, I had everything. Come on, live with me. At this point in my life, when she needed me, I couldn't do it. And it was devastating for me. And my sister took her in. And, that was theirs. Well, as things progressed and things changed in my life, common ground, I moved in with Judy and Dennis, and thank you, Dennis, for putting up with all that. But, I look back and I'm going, and I came through that successfully and awesome. It was part of this divine grace. And I looked back at my mom and I thought, wow, why didn't Mom get to live with me during that time? And then I looked at the relationship between her and my sister, which was always a little shaky, and that was her time, right? To be able to mend, fences with her, to be able to come close together where before they couldn't have done it. Does that make sense? If I would have taken Mom in, they would have never had that time, those last years together. And so I look back now, and at that time it was difficult, and it was all about me, but I look back now and I see that grace happened, and that her and Mom were mended fences, that they were close. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I know that, the winds of grace were blowing, and whether they actually raised their sails, I don't know, but it gave them the opportunity to do that since I wasn't able to take Mom in. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. See, that's what grace is. Grace happens, and we don't see it when we're in the middle of it. I was thinking about myself, and I should be the one to do this. That's not true at all. It all works together. I was able to let go and see it now. I see how grace works in all of our life. And sometimes we don't see it at all. There's a story about this, it's in Hinduism, and it's Shiva and Shakti, and they're this divine couple. And they look down, and Shiva sees these poor people, and she says, you've got to help them, to her husband. Husband says, no, they're not ready to be helped. And she goes, yes, they are. Help them. So he drops this bag of gold down to this poor, beggar. And then the beggar's walking, and he trips on it, and he doesn't even know what it is. That's how the story goes. And what the idea of the story is that you've got to be ready to see the grace, right? You've got to have your sails up. That, we trip over our own. If we were dropped a bag of gold and we didn't know it, we would trip over it. And that's what the idea is here, is that grace is all around us. We just have to have our sails up. We have to open to it. We have to know. And sometimes we know it later. We don't see it right then, just like my story with Bobby and my mom, It's been said that sin is separation. And if that's true, then I think grace is the opposite. Grace is the reconnection. Grace is our reconnection here with that great Spirit. And that's what grace is to me. You'll go to different religions, and grace will be something different. If you are Catholic, it's way different, I'm sorry. But it's here for me. It's the flow. It's the Tao. It's the energy that runs through each and every one of us. Nobody here is grace any more than anybody else. It's like the sun that shines on all of us. It's just, are we open to see it? We open the blinds and it comes through, or are we shutting the blinds and not seeing it? That's what grace is to me. It's our deepest self. Emerson said that grace is a state of oneness with all life. It's a oneness. It's knowing that we are part of the universe, and the universe is part of us. Rumi, my favorite poet in the world, says, give up to grace. The ocean takes care of each wave until it gets to the shore. Remember, you are taken care of. You are taken care of. And you're the one, because it's in here. You're taking care of yourself. The winds of grace, remember this. This is my prayer for each of us. The winds of grace are always blowing. It's up for each of us to raise our sails. Thank you.